Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us and very warm welcome to all of you. My name is Saima Asgar, Director ISA Pakistan Chapter, Executive Director New Life Rehab Center, and Secretary General M. A. Jinnah Foundation. And now I'm coming to you live from Pakistan. Today, we as National Chapter ISA Pakistan hosting this webinar on psychological capital, especially to discuss substance use disorder and recovery process. And here, we are going to explore the factors that play a major role in the treatment stages of a person with SUD, also to incorporate into audiences on future practice. And now it's time to introduce one of our very experienced and committed panelists, Professor Dr. Uzma Ali with us. He is currently serving as Director, Institute of Clinical Psychology, University of Karachi. He is advanced member, ISAP and Advisor Youth Forum Pakistan. He is certified trainer of hypnotherapy. He is also editor of two recognized research journals, Pakistan Journal of Psychology and Pakistan Journal of Clinical Psychology. He has been published more than 50 research articles in national and international journals. He is also author of a book, Code Control and Ethical Decision Making, which is also a part of syllabus of psychodiagnosis and psychotherapy in MPhil clinical psychology in Pakistan. Welcome, Dr. Uzma Ali, with us. Thank you for your precious time. And before we start our presentation, I would like to share that your active participation throughout the session is very important. And for this purpose, I have muted all of you to avoid background noises, which may distract your learning from the webinar. And during this 1 hour webinar, we have last 15 minutes for question and answer session. If you may have any question regarding the topic or want to comment, you can send us your question to the comment box. So after the presentation, Dr. Uzma Ali, she will answer some of your questions after the presentation. Thank you. Now I would like to welcome once again Dr. Uzma Ali and requested her to please continue the session. Thank you. Dr. Uzma Ali, please.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Saima, for introducing me. Good evening for all over the world, the audience who are watching me at this webinar, and I'm very grateful to ISAP Pakistan and ISAP Global who invite me for this webinar on very important topic. Okay, let me introduce the topic first, and then we will go through the presentation of today's topic. The topic is psychological capital, substance use disorder, and recovery process. You all know that the substance addiction is a very pandemic. It's a very disabling and disease all over the world, and it's more many psychologists and many addiction professionals, psychiatrists, and other stakeholders are working to overcome this disease, and they are working for the prevention as well. That's why I choose that topic that is very much related to psychological perspective. First, I introduce the scheme of my presentation. Number one is substance use disorder and recovery. I will talk about it. And then I will talk about the element of recovery management, that is some elements that are very important that should consider during the treatment and continuum of care process. And recovery capital, I will talk about it. Then I will talk about psychological capital and strategies to enhance in recovery. And then we will have a question answer session. Okay. Substance use disorder and recovery. Okay, recovery is a process of change where individual works to improve their own health and wellness and to live a meaningful life in a community of their choice while striving to achieve their full potentials. According to this definition, recovery is a process of change in which the addiction professionals, psychologists, psychiatrists, and social worker, and a team of hospital management or a team of different rehabilitation centers focus on the process of change, process of transformation of the individual, in which the unique potentials and unique talents of the individuals are required to work upon it, and due to those talents and those unique potentials, individual can transform himself from negative state to a positive state. And when we talk about wellness, wellness is a concept with multiple dimension, in which we work on the wellness of his physical wellness, his social wellness, and his psychological wellness. It also includes the physical health. It also include the physical capital. It also include the intellectual potentials of the individual, and it also includes the emotional state of the individuals. Plus, wellness also include the financial and environmental factors. So the when we talk about recovery, and when we talk about the psychological capital, we work in during the continuum of care. Continuum of care means when the client enters into the treatment process, when he comes to the hospital, or when he takes drugs and decide that he has to quit the drug, or he has to drug free sober life. He comes to the hospital, the treatment process has been started, and from the treatment to recovery, the role of different stakeholders are very important. They play their part at different stages of change. And when he went to the community after the treatment, he has to give a meaningful life. For this meaningful life, the psychological capital and recovery capital are very important. They also play a very important role in the healthy state of mind, in the healthy life of these clients. And here the choice is also very important. Making a healthy choice, making a decision by the client is very important to achieve a healthy and happy life. There are some elements of recovery that was given by William White in 2005, and in this recovery process, client empowerment is very important. When client come to for the treatment at any hospital, any program, whatever program he chooses according to his needs, or according to his diagnosis. Sometimes clients come with the diagnosis of substance use disorder. Sometimes client comes with the diagnosis of any other mental health problem, that is comorbidity. And sometimes clients come at the initial stage of substance use, and sometimes he comes in the middle stage. Sometimes he comes when he at the severe stage. So every programs offers the client empowerment. This is a main element of the recovery process. That is strength-based recovery process, in which the therapist or the therapist or any social worker who is working with them, or a case manager, should focus on the client's empowerment, and he has to rule out different resources of the client, different recovery capitals of the client. And by the assessment, the second point element is assessment. He may use different tests from which he can assess what are their resources in different areas. It can be intellectual resources. If the client is intelligent, he is educated, and he has a social support mechanism, and his previous or pre-morbid functioning is better, or pre-morbid functioning is positive, or he has been working in some areas according to his employment. That will serve as his positive capital. And where his social support is also a positive capital, and his willingness is also a positive capital. So the assessment of these recovery capital are very important. After the assessment, the therapist or the case manager or the social worker who is working with that client check the resource development, or he works for the resource development. If he doesn't have these type of elements, or if he does not have much recovery capital, or he does not have strengths, he will work on these strengths. And he also educate them about the disease. He also educate them how to stay sober, how to take treatment, how to follow the treatment mechanism, and how to follow the different NA meetings, and how to make friends, good friends, and how to stay away from the drug, how to develop his confidence. He will be the educating them, he will be training them. And it is element, the most important element of recovery capital is ongoing monitoring and support. This is very important, because when you see that the substance addiction is a very uh, difficult to manage, and it has a lot of up and downs, and it has a difficult journey, I must say. And sometimes the clients has a relapse, and sometimes he has different type of other problems that may related to finances, that may related to his peer groups. So the monitoring of these clients during the recovery process is very important, for which mostly we suggest them to come to different meetings, so that they will be stay connected to the treatment programs. And they also join different support groups, different community groups, and different groups in their community, to involve in different programs, or to involve in different social gatherings, or to involve in different skill development programs. And the recovery, the other element is recovery advocacy. That is also very important. Recovery advocacy, when the client go back to the community, it is very important that he has some opportunities for work, and he should have some opportunities for the employment. So in different rehabilitation programs, the rehabilitator, programmer, or the case management sometime give opportunities to them, where he should go for the jobs, or where what are the resources he should have to get a better job, or he should have to stay connected, or what are the network in his community from which he can take benefit, and uh, getting a good job, or getting different skills to attain these jobs. And for all these programs, evidence-based treatment and supportive therapies or supportive groups are very important. So the elements of recovery management are play a major role in the recovery process of the substance use disorder. And when we say about recovery management, recovery capital are very important. What are the recovery capital? Recovery capitals comprises everything you have. You have means the client who is suffering from a substance use disorder, working to your advantage when trying to stay sober. So everything means everything that helps to stay sober, that helps to stay at a positive state, that helps for their well-being. That these things are very important. The more form of recovery capital you have, the better the quality, the easier recovery will be. The more capitals mean, if you have a confidence, if you are stay positive, if you have hope, if you have skills, and if you have a positive coping strategies, or if you have a better support system, and if your family is very supportive, if you change your friends, and your friends are very supportive, and your friends also uh, helps you in different life stages, they are your recovery capital. And on the other hand, if you have little or no recovery capital, you may have trouble staying sober, even receive quality treatment. So the individual recovery capitals are the major part in living a healthy life, in the development of well-being of a client, and in the development of a better the quality of life. These are the examples of some of recovery capital. That is physical. Physical means physical health is important. Physical health, personal eating habits, his lifestyle, and his sleep hygiene. These are very important. Physicals, like finances are also physical, environment is also physical capital. And second one is human capital, that is also related to psychological capital. How this is related, I will tell later on, but the human part is very important. It also involves his spirituality, it also involves his emotional stability, it also involves his mind and body connection, his mind body connection, and mind body soul connection, and his capabilities, his potentials, his intellect, his education. All these are human capitals. And the other one is social capital. Social capitals means the relationship ones have in their life, the social support ones have in their life, the friends have in their life. This is also very much related to the psychological capital, because when we talk about well-being, we talk about the mental health. The mental health have different domains. The one is psychological, the other one is emotional, the other one is social. We have if a person want to be mentally healthy, he has to take care of his physical health, he has to take care of his psychological health, he has to take care of his social health, and also the spiritual part is very important for staying mentally and physically and emotionally healthy. And culture is another recovery capital that is also very important while treatment. Whenever we give treatment to any client with SUD, we have to see in which culture he is living, what are his cultural trends and customs, what are their languages. The person who is treating them, he has to aware of these backgrounds, especially in some culture, the substance use disorder and alcohol use problem is a stigma. And people, when they go back to their society, when they go back to their community, they have to face the stigma and discrimination. uh, when we give treatment as a psychologist, I believe that when they come to the treatment, we have to train them how to deal with these discrimination, how to build their self-esteem, how to build their self-esteem, how to build their self-efficacy, and how to develop hope, so that they can survive in that community who discriminate them or who label them with substance addiction. And sometimes they do not accept when they come to they come back to the community. This is the most challenging situation. So we also work on these issues that are related to the culture, that may related to the discriminations and stigma. These are the four main areas that we should consider in the recovery process. I'm sure there are some recovery person who may attend these sessions, and some who are working with in the different environment, in the different setups, and belongs to psychiatric group or psychology group or work social work group. So these factors, I suggest you, these factors are very important, and you should consider while treating them or while giving them treatment in any program. And what are the psychological capital? Psychological capital, PsyCap, is the positive psychological state of a person it's a process of growth and development which goes beyond human capital and social capital, and is a psychological resource which promote personal growth and performance improvement. This concept or this model of psychological capital, PsyCap, was initially defined by Latham in 2004. Then it was widely studied and widely researched by other psychologists that belongs to organizational and industrial psychology. And this concept is very much useful in the industrial setup, where there is a stress and there are some problems that are related to lack of motivation and lack of capabilities, a lack of lack of capabilities and lack of potentials. So this model was utilized in industrial setups, but later on in 2013, the author say Reskivova et al. In 2013, they studied this model with mental health and substance use problems, and they also found that if the person have psychological capital, they can prevent their disease, or they can stay in a well-being, and they can be very healthy, and it is a positively related to mental health and psychological capital, and it is negatively related to substance use problem. There are 4 domains of psychological capital. That's acronym is HERO. HERO means hope, self-efficacy, resilience, and optimism. So you must have studied these factors individually in different researches and different programs, and we also as a psychologist work on these factors, like without hope we cannot go forward in the treatment. And self-efficacy is already established phenomena given by Albert Bandura. He has done a lot of work on this factor. And optimism is also a term mostly used by positive psychologists, and we also use these domains and these factors during our treatment, especially when we are doing positive psychology, or when we are working cognitive behavioral therapies. We work on these factors. And resilience is also a part of a personality that is very important in the recovery process. Okay, hope. What is hope? Hope is basically a belief. People think about it, and it is expectations. And the key hope, belief, and expectations that are the key element of hope, elements that can block pain and have important effects on both physical and physiological process. When people think that they have a hope, or when they think that they have no hope, they may develop depression, because hopelessness is a one symptom of depression. And when people think that there is no one in the world who can help them, there is a no support, there is a no direction, there is a no way to go forward, this thinking make them into trouble, and this thinking make them into again the relapse. And when we work on the hope, when we work to develop the hope or increase the hope in the client, and work on the hope, then these type of clients may have a strength, and they stay away from the drug, and they develop the ability to control their emotions. They develop the ability to control their negative thinking. They develop the ability to fight with this substance use problem. And it's also, hope has the ability to people heal instead of wishing for something to happen. Hope is a solid, concrete evidence that something will happen. These people who have a hope, they always think positive. They always have a direction in their life, and they always accept the challenges of the life, and they see life as a positive way. When they have a hope, they always move forward. They do not stuck in any stage. So whenever client come to us for the treatment, and we are working with them, we have to look for the hope. There are some psychological scales that can be administered to check the this factor in these clients. There are some projective tests, like thematic A perception test, that check that assess client's hope and his positive thinking and his prognosis in these type of clients, so that we can work on these factors. Hope allows people to approach the challenges of life with a positive mindset, feelings of desire for certain things to happen. When you have a feeling of desire, when you have a feeling of change, and when you look forward in a positive way, this thing motivate you to go forward. This thing motivate you to make different type of plans. This the hope and feeling of desire push you to develop some healthy plans, to develop some realistic plans, to develop some goals to stick to your path, to stick to your direction. So the hope keeps people going, hope keeps people moving. So without hope, people may get into relapse. With hope, people may go to the recovery or stay sober and stay recovered. What are the strategies that can help to improve hope? First one is listen to and share stories of hope. Means whenever you go to your friends or whenever you meet some friends who are recovered or who are living a healthy life after or who are living a sober life after the recovery, listen to them and share the stories of their journey, how they recover from their difficulties, what are the challenges they face, so that you can also do that. You can, whenever you encounter any stressor, you can overcome these stressor with their techniques as well. Accept your current situation. This thing is very important. When you do not accept your current situation, you cannot change it. So acceptance of current situation means you are accepting that the life is difficult, there are up and downs in life, there are difficulties in this situation. And when you accept these situations, then you can change it. If you do not accept the current situation, you cannot change it, because you are not accepting it, or you are not seeing the way they are. So the acceptance means you accept that this situation is difficult right now, and if you take positive steps, if you take realistic steps, or if you make different goals that are smart and that are achievable goals, that are realistic goals, you can change the situation. And third one is find a direction for life. People get hopeless, or people feel hopelessness because they do not have any direction, they do not have any goal in their life, or they do not decide where to go, they do not decide what to do. So the direction for living a meaningful life, develop a meaningful plan, and develop and make doing living a meaningful life is very important. And psychotherapist who when the client comes to the treatment, during the psychotherapy process, they mostly work on these things. They give their different opportunities to the client choose different options. From these opportunities, they give opportunity to for the priority setting. Client himself or herself make a priority list. Priority means what is important in their life, what is desirable for their life, and then out of these priority lists, they choose what is best for them according to their resources. And after, when they decide, when they take decision, they will stick to that decision. And then they when they go back to the community, they have a direction, they have a plan, and they have a meaningful or well-formed goals, so that if they have a goal, they have a direction. If they have a goal, they will be motivated to live a happy and healthy and quality life. So the next factor is self-efficacy and recovery. Self-efficacy is very important according to APA. Self-efficacy is an individual belief in his or her capacity to execute behaviors necessary to produce specific performance and attainments. Your self-efficacy is a reflection of your confidence in your ability to control your own motivation, behavior, and response to your environment. When we talk about hope, we said that if a client have any direction, if a client have any goal, or if client have any plan, they can live a happy or healthy and sober life. So if he have a belief that he can execute this plan, or if he has a belief that he can do that, or if he or she has a belief that he has an ability to execute this plan, or if he believe that he has a ability or skill to do that, then this self-efficacy is directly related to the hope. This factor is directly related to the hope. Or without self-efficacy, the recovery process cannot be completed. If we work on self-efficacy of the client, we can help in the recovery process. We can help these clients to live a healthy and happy life. We can improve their quality of life. There are some obstacles to recovery from addictions that should be worked upon, that are lack of motivation. Sometimes when we say that the substance addiction is a very challenging and difficult problem, and sometimes client get low motivated due to the relapse, or due to the financial problems, or due to the sometimes due to other mental health problem or comorbidity, or sometimes due to the stigma, and sometimes due to the lack of social support, he gets low motivated. So we should work upon his motivation if we want to enhance his self-efficacy. We should the client, there are some financial difficulties. Sometimes they lack honesty means sometimes they just ignore the problem, or sometimes they stay in a denial, so they do not accept their problem as it is. So the honesty with their self is very important, so that they can move forward. Lack of participations means lack of participations in different programs that are important in the treatment of substance addiction, like 12-step programs, like different NA meetings, or like group meetings. If they take part in these programs, they get motivated, and they get what are the difficulties that can be solved, and they can also model others' success stories. And complacency is also very important. Means sometimes they just become the overconfident, and they think that they are recovered and now they are okay. But this thinking is sometimes create a problem for them. So they have to analyze themselves on the daily basis. What are the negatives points in them, or what are the positive points in them? What are strengths and what are the weaknesses? And the other one is lack of communication skill. This is very important in living a sober life, or living a recovered life. For example, whenever a recovery person feels that he has stress, some anxiety problem, or he has some negative feelings, or he has some emotional problems, he has to talk to someone in the family, or he has to talk to someone with the counselor, or he has to talk about these skills. So whenever they come for the treatment, or whenever they come for the meetings, the counselor should ask what are their present state and what are their present emotional problems, so that they can come up with these problems, and they can be resolved during the meetings. And lack of commitment is also a factor. Sometimes the clients do not commit what they promise for, what they think for, what they plan for. So the motivation, commitment, honesty, active participation, and communication skills are very important for the recovery process. How to improve self-efficacy, overcome obstacles in recovery. We talk about these. Maintain relationship with peer in recovery. Okay, maintain relationship with those peer who are also living a healthy life, who are also living a sober life, and who have recovered. Or you can make new friends, and you can develop your skills, for which the assertive training is very important. That's a part of cognitive behavior therapy, to how to say no to drug. And mostly during these programs in which the psychologist give psychotherapy, or psychologists are there, they work on these type of techniques. Prioritize your emotional and psychological well-being. Your emotion and psychological well-being is very important to stay sober, or to stay recover, or to live a very happy or healthy life and to improve your quality of life, and start improving your self-efficacy. Okay. Resilience, and the third factor is resilience and recovery. The term resilience is derived from the Latin word resilio, which means to jump or to bounce back. Resilient people possess a certain degree of strength that allows them to accomplish several things. What are the things? For they can accept reality as it is. Resilient people have a capacity, or resilient people have a strength to bounce back. Resilient people have a tendency to accept the challenges, has a tendency to accept the stress, and they can manage the stress. They do not give up. Those people who have resilience, they are very flexible in nature, and they accept whatever they encounter in their life, and they are ready to bring change, and they have a deep belief that the life has a meaning. When they believe that life has a meaning, they also develop a meaningful life. They also develop their goals in life, and they also stay in a state which is positive, because they accept that this is a reality, and they have different type of strengths, and they have different type of weaknesses, and they, if they have any failure, they learn from their mistakes, and they learn from their mistakes because they think that there is no failure, there is learning process. It's a learning process, and due to this learning process, they go forward, and they can improvise. Resilience allows people to step back briefly and regroup and move forward. Step backs whenever they encounter any stress, they manage their stress. They go back and they again realize, or they again analyze this situation, and they learn from this situation, and then they make new plans, new groups, and then they move forward. So the resilience is very important aspect of recovery, and it's a very important aspect for the recovered person to perform better in the society, to perform better in their job situation, to perform better in their relationships. Even resilience helps in making good relationships, even though the family do not accept when they were into drug, they do not give up. They come back to the family, and they again try to make a relationship with their family, because they do not give up. They always move forward, no matter how long stay in this, no matter how the harmful substances are, they do not uh, give up. So they can manage stress. They can do, whenever they encounter stress, the stress give them opportunity to learn. The stress give them opportunity to learn new coping strategies. So the working on resilience is very important aspect during the treatment of addiction, during the treatment of during the recovery process. Because you heard that there is a no failure, only feedback. Whenever we do something and we cannot get the desired results, we go back and analyze the situation again and see that situation from the other perspective. Maybe there are some loophole, or maybe there are something that we should do that, but we didn't do that. So the resilient person always learn from their mistakes, and they do more plans, and they also accept that change will happen. They come to the cause side. Cause side means they accept the reality. They accept that he has to take the step, he has to bring change from their selves. Resilient person, when they do not give up, they approach others. They go to the family, they go to their support system. They emphasize their self-care, because self is important for them. When they do not give up, they believe that their self is important, and they have to take care of themselves. And gratefulness is also a part of resilient. If a person counts the positive, is a person count the positive capitals that they have. They are grateful for their positive life. They become more resilient. The fourth factor is optimism. Optimism is basically thinking positive. Optimism is a mental attitude reflecting a belief or hope that outcome of some specific behavior action. Being optimistic in the typical sense of the word is defined as expecting the best possible outcome from any given situation. This is usually referred to as dispositional optimism. Optimism may also link to the health. Optimism basically is very much related to hope. Hope means something will happen, and optimism will there will be some outcome. There will be some positive people around you. There will be something happen that will be positive, and they also the people who are optimistic, they always see the positive things in the situation, like they in the dark night they see the moon, or like in the dark night they always see the light. So when a client come to you and you are giving them therapy, you have to bring or increase the optimistic attitude in them. And there are some strategies that you can apply to them. They can surround themselves with positive people. They can make positive peer group who are positively working and who are thinking positive towards different situations. And you also should make moderate expectations. When you set high expectations and you do not do hard work to achieve these goals, or when you make big goals and you do not have the capacity to achieve that goals, then you may encounter different setbacks. So make realistic goals and set moderate expectations, and make small goals and set moderate or little expectations, so that when you get good results, you will be surprised, and this thing will always motivate you to go forward. Achieve positivity by helping others. Helping others is a very good attitude. When you help others, you get positive feedback from others, and you make more good relationships with others. You get more good friends. And take care of yourself means, when you say your client to take care of yourself, it means the client will take the responsibility of their health. They will do different type of exercises in their life. They will struggle for learning new skills. They will struggle for taking care of themselves. They will take responsibility of their health. They will take responsibility of their jobs. They will take responsibility of staying positive, staying active, and they will take responsibility of their self, because they will start caring of their self. So these strategies of optimism, hopefulness, self-efficacy, and recovery are very important in dealing with clients, and are very important factors in working with clients and bringing the positive change in them. They are very important in transforming their negative state into their positive state. They are very important in enhancing the quality of life of them. Okay, I hope you understand the phenomena and understand the importance of these four factors. Now you can ask any question if you have. So
thank you. Thank you, Dr. Usma. I also hope that you all enjoyed this wonderful presentation. So now we are going to start our question and answer session. We have received some questions. Okay. The first question we received from Mr. Muhammad. Yes. Uh, yes, I find it. The first question is actually how can we build hope in families as they are already facing his or her clients multiple relapses and also they have financial issues. Can you please answer this
Okay.
question?
Yeah. In your question, you have given your answer. Like, if they have multiple relapses, means that client comes for the treatment. Whenever one client come for the treatment, it's mean he thinks that, or he hopes that he will be recovered. So you have
Mhm.
to find out what are the negative capitals, or what are the obstacles in that client or in that family, so that you can work on that obstacles, remove that obstacle that can be helpful in the recovery process. And family counseling is very important. And for the financial problem, we can say that find the different opportunities where the free treatment is available. In some countries, even in Karachi and in Pakistan, we have some hospitals and rehabilitation centers that give free treatments. So the
Yeah,
to finding the opportunities, or being a clinician, or being a therapist, or being a additional professional, it's our job to provide them the resources, or we make the linkage of these type of clients with other hospitals, or with other uh, rehabilitation centers.
uh, thank you, Dr. Uzma, for very well answered. And now I have another question.
Yeah.
Yeah, how we can measure them? Actually, I received this message from Dr. Sajid. He asking,
Okay.
how can we measure them in treatment settings or in general practice?
Okay. The psychological capital is basically the psychological resources. Being a clinical psychologist, mostly the clinical psychologists are trained in psychological assessment. They are trained in utilizing different objective tests, and they are also trained in utilizing different projective tests. These factors can assess through different psychological objective tests, as well as different projective tests. There
Yeah,
are tests on
thank
self-efficacy, there are tests on hope, and there are tests on other resilience tests. There's a small inventory through which we can assess these factors. Even the
yeah,
objective test can be administered in group settings.
yeah, thank you. And the third question I received from Ms. Iram Khalid. She's asking that how to analyze addictive patient is optimistic or melan. I think there is. Uh, sorry. The question is actually, what is the difference between recovery capital and psychological capital?
Yeah,
I
optimism.
think we
Normally, okay, being a yeah, psychological capital, optimism. Because
yeah,
optimism means positive thinking. When we do psychotherapy, or when we assess them, we can check their thinking pattern. What they are thinking. There are some scales that measure distortions, cognitive distortion. There are some tests that measure schema. There, because in negative thinking or negative distortion, there are the negative schemas that are clients develop, due to which they think negative about themselves. So in assessment, we can assess these thinking pattern in them.
yeah. Thank you. Um, we have actually received a lot of questions, so it's very short time, so we'll try to ask one or two more questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes. How we, the fourth question is, how can we in, include hope in clients reporting complete lack of hope, complete lack of social support, and with clear suicidal intent? Can we answer? The question is, how can we include hope in clients
yeah.
reporting?
Okay.
Yeah.
turn off webcam. If I turn off webcam, then the voice will be. If you write at chat box, I can read it.
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yes, sir. I think I'm asking you another question.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yeah,
Sir.
yes, yes, yes.
Yes. And the question is why we cannot include culture factor into social factor of recovery capital.
Okay, cultural factors are mostly belong to the culture because some social factors are mostly related to the interpersonal relationships or the relationship with peer groups or the relationship with the society or community. Cultural factors are different from the social factors because social factors is also include the relationship of the person, but the cultural factor is not include the relationship. It's the customs or the customs and tradition related to the custom traditions languages with that particular society. They are different from the social factors.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Dr. Uzma. Now, I think we have last 6 minutes, so can ask one more questions.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm trying to find the most relevant questions, so that's why it's sometimes taking some time. Yeah. The second question I received from Ms. Sundar, that is majority of clients with SUD do not have enough education. So how can we teach them to have these psychological capitals?
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a very important question. When we talk about recovery capital, psychological capital, education is one of the capital because when we talk about intelligent, it's we can see that some many people who are intelligent, many people who have resilience, many people who are optimistic, they are not educated, but they have learned from their society, they have learned from their parents, they have learned from their culture. So we can work upon these factors. Every person have a unique talent. Every person have their unique potentials. You can assess these potentials and work upon them.
Okay, thank you. I think Ms. Sundar got satisfied with the answer. So I'm going to close this session. Once again, thank you, Dr.
Thank you very
Uzma,
much, Saima and Olivia.
for having this one. Yeah, thank you, Miss Olivia,
It's a
for
very
your
different
taking the
experience
spot
for
with us.
me.
So, yeah,
Yeah, it's
thank
also
you.
a very different experience for me as
Yeah,
well.
thank you. Yeah, I'm also thankful to all of you. I hope the all attendees have enjoyed this wonderful presentation, and we'll share this knowledge with other in your social circle as well. So I'm at least not the at last not the least, I'm also thankful to ISEC Global international membership organization for providing us this opportunity to share knowledge and to provide opportunity for those people who do not have enough time to attend face-to-face meetings. So thank you all of you. I hope to see you in next webinar. Thank you.
Inshallah. Inshallah. Thank you very much. Thank you,
Yeah.
all of you.